Cooler has revealed his true power. Frieza has obtained the Forbidden Beast. Hello guys, this is Mr. 60 Anime. Today we'll be talking about Part 5 of Dragon Ball Hakai, Colored Panel. But before we start, don't forget to like this video so you'll always stay updated with content like this. The last chapter ended with Frieza and Cooler approaching one of the primordial beasts, Janemba. Their plan is to use him to wipe out both the gods and, of course, the Saiyans. Now, this is where Part 5 of Dragon Ball Hakai begins. In the opening panel, we see Cooler standing tall, preparing himself for battle. He unleashes a tremendous amount of Kai, shaking the ground around him. Salsa quickly checks the radar, and to his shock, Cooler's power level skyrockets to 600 billion. Even Salsa, who has seen countless warriors, is stunned by the sheer magnitude of this energy. Cooler smirks and tells him to keep an eye on the radar, to see if it can even keep up with his true power. Salsa agrees, though deep down, he doubts what Cooler is claiming. Cooler then adds with confidence that, although he can still grow stronger, his current strength is already more than enough to crush their enemies. Meanwhile, a group of demons watching from nearby are left speechless. One of them mutters that Cooler's strength feels comparable to that of a celestial being, something unthinkable for a so-called mortal. Another demon scoffs, saying Cooler is nothing but an ordinary mortal, and suggests they call for their boss. But one demon refuses. Instead, he declares that they should fight Cooler themselves, because if they defeat him, they could rise in status and claim the title of Celestial Guards. The three demons roar as they power up, releasing massive bursts of ki that ripple across the battlefield. Even Salsa is caught off guard by the raw intensity of their combined aura. Cooler glances at Salsa and asks if they're stronger than him. Salsa quickly shakes his head and explains that Cooler is still the stronger fighter, but warns that the real problem is that the demons are fighting as a team. Cooler only smirks, unfazed, and replies, "Good, then maybe this will serve as a nice little exercise for me." The demons hear his mocking tone and, enraged, charge at him with full force. But Cooler is on a completely different level. He moves with incredible speed, dodging every strike with ease. No matter how hard they try, none of their blows even graze him. Then, in a sudden flash, Cooler counters with devastating precision, striking one demon so hard that he's instantly taken down. The other two regroup quickly and launch a massive combined attack, unleashing an explosion that shakes the entire battlefield. Yet Cooler effortlessly blocks the attack and even absorbs their energy into himself. Calmly, he says, "So that's your specialty? Too bad. It has no effect on me." Desperate, the demons shift to a new strategy. One demon lunges in and grabs Cooler's arm, trying to restrict his movements, while another rushes forward for the finishing blow. But before it can connect, Cooler's eyes flash with deadly intent. He fires a concentrated beam directly from his eye, blasting the demon head-on. Without even breaking a sweat, Cooler warns them coldly, "You don't understand. Nothing you're doing matters to me. You'd better let me go before it's too late." At this point, Cooler showed no mercy and completely finished off the three demons. After the battle, he commented that he had expected their fight to be a true challenge, but instead, it was nothing more than a disappointment. Still, he admitted it wasn't a total waste. What mattered was that, after such a long time, he finally got to enjoy the thrill of combat again. Salsa, however, was confused. According to his radar, those three demons really did possess incredible power. And yet, Cooler managed to defeat them so quickly it hardly seemed like a struggle. Frieza then spoke up, noting that Cooler had clearly learned how to control his power better than before. That observation made Frieza stop and think. He realized that Cooler's ki was now on par with his own, and if that was true, there was even a chance Cooler could surpass him. With this in mind, Frieza decided it would be best to keep a very close eye on his brother. But suddenly, one of the demons stood back up, refusing to accept defeat. He declared that things weren't over, that he was destined to become one of the Celestial Guardians, and that someone like him could not be taken down so easily. Cooler looked at him coldly and said, "What are you talking about? You were already defeated, just like your two companions. Whatever happened to them will happen to you as well." In that moment, the demon unleashed an overwhelming surge of Kai. What shocked everyone even more was that he began to absorb the power of his fallen allies. Salza's eyes widened as the demon's strength skyrocketed beyond what he expected. Within seconds, the demon's body transformed, his appearance shifted, and his aura darkened, making him look far stronger and far more dangerous than before. The demon laughed and boasted loudly. "Now that I've absorbed the power of my two comrades, I've become the strongest demon in the entire universe. Cooler, prepare yourself, because you will not survive this." Salsa was left speechless, while FRIEZA, instead of being alarmed, grew intrigued. He was genuinely interested to see just how powerful this demon had become. Cooler, on the other hand, smirked and said, "Well, you do look a bit interesting." Before anyone could react, the demon suddenly charged forward at a speed that even caught Cooler by surprise. Cooler barely managed to avoid the strike, but he quickly prepared to counterattack, summoning a devastating wave blast to fire at the demon. However, before he could release it, the demon attacked again, moving with incredible speed and managing to grab onto Cooler directly. Once he had a hold of him, the demon unleashed a relentless flurry of blows. Cooler was forced onto the defensive, struggling under the sheer pressure of the onslaught. Watching this unfold, Salsa grew worried. He thought to himself that if this continued, Cooler might not survive. Out loud, he even said that they needed to step in and help him. But FRIEZA cut him off sharply. With an icy glare, FRIEZA said, "Don't be a fool. If Cooler cannot find a way to handle this enemy on his own, then he doesn't deserve to be part of my army. His life means nothing to me." At this moment, Cooler spoke and admitted that in his entire life, he had never received attacks like the ones he had just experienced. The demon, confident, shouted that it was now time for Cooler to die. But Cooler only glared back, promising that the demon would pay for everything it had done to him. Suddenly, Cooler released a surge of Kai so overwhelming that both Salsa and FRIEZA were shocked. Salsa wondered aloud if Cooler was about to use his strongest transformation, something he had never seen in his life. FRIEZA then explained, saying, "Unlike Cooler and our father, King Cold and I can only control our ultimate forms to some extent. But Cooler, he can handle his full power flawlessly, without mistakes. That's one of the reasons why he infuriates me. He was born gifted, with unimaginable potential." Still, FRIEZA smirked and admitted that despite his annoyance, he was glad to witness Cooler's transformation once again. Finally, Cooler transformed into his ultimate form. His aura grew fiercer, and his body radiated unstoppable energy. He declared, "I never expected I'd get the chance to show you all my true strength. Consider yourself honored, because you'll die at the hands of the one and only Cooler." The demon angrily shouted at him to shut up. But within seconds, Cooler prepared his assault. Every strike he launched landed directly on the demon, cutting off the demon's arms in the process. Stunned and confused, the demon couldn't understand how Cooler had overpowered him so easily. Before he could even recover, Cooler was already in front of him, driving a devastating attack straight into his stomach. The demon gasped in disbelief, saying it was impossible. But Cooler coldly replied, "I told you already. Your strength can never be compared to mine. You never had a chance to defeat me." Desperate, the demon shouted back and revealed his last resort. He planned to self-destruct, intending to take Cooler with him in death. Cooler quickly realized what he was trying to do, and without hesitation, unleashed a final attack that triggered a massive explosion. The blast was so powerful that FRIEZA had to shield himself and his soldiers just to survive the shockwave. Furious, FRIEZA shouted at Cooler, "What were you thinking? Do you want to destroy this entire place and wipe out my army? Worse, do you want to ruin Janemba as well?" Cooler casually replied that it was true. He might have gotten a bit carried away and enjoyed himself too much. But in the end, everything was fine, and there was nothing to worry about. FRIEZA then looked at Janemba, still sealed in his cocoon, and remarked, "It seems this cocoon hasn't been affected at all. Should we wake him up now?" But Cooler stopped him, asking, "Aren't you even curious about what Zuno said about this creature?" FRIEZA answered that he had intended to ask their enemies about it earlier, but Cooler killed them before he got the chance. Cooler only shrugged and said he didn't care. What mattered was that they should return and ask Zuno directly about Janemba. And so, at that moment, Frieza and Cooler prepared to head off on their next move, to visit Zuno and uncover the truth about Janemba.